Welcome to the Joy Meets Pain podcast. I'm your host, Dorcas. In today's episode, which was one of my earlier recordings on family, therapy, and food, my guest, the accomplished chef Lisa Brooks, will divulge her journey from the corporate world to the culinary stage. It is my absolute pleasure to bring to you all the renowned chef Lisa Brooks. First and foremost, thank you for being here, Chef Brooks.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so share what you'd like about yourself, your interests, profession, family, relationships, and so on.
Yeah. Well, I am 52 years old. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I was born and raised here. I'm the baby of 7 girls, 2 stepsisters and 4 sisters, my mom. And I've had a very interesting life. I mean, I am a chef currently, which was a career change, but I've always been super competitive, try to be the best I can at every single thing I do. Somewhat of a perfectionist, which is not the best thing to be for sanity purposes, but I do have a great family. We're really close-knit. I love what I do for a living. At this point, I have an amazing son who's 30 years old, and I'm just really blessed at this moment. This time in my life is just a great time.
So naturally, being a family therapist, I am so curious about you being the youngest of 7 girls. Tell us more about what it was like growing up in your family.
Yeah. Well, I am the baby of 7 girls and just a huge, even extended family. The dynamic in my immediate family was interesting in that the sister closest to me, she's 4 years older than me. I mean, she's really the only one I remember in the house with me growing up because the next sister's 10 years older than me. So even by the time I was 5, she was 15. And then the older ones were already out of the house. So, I mean, I certainly didn't feel like an only child, but I had a lot of alone time. I was just, my sister that was 4 years older than me, she was close to me, but at times, especially when she became a teenager, it was like, get out of my room, leave me alone. So, which is normal, but I did seek attention a lot because, my parents had to spread their attention around.
Right. Understandable. All right. So tell me, what are your relationships like with your siblings?
The sister that's closest to me, we're 4 years apart. We actually live like a block from each other, even now. And we are still close. The older sisters are a little more distant. I mean, not physically or geographically, but our relationships aren't as tight. I don't think they know me as well. I mean, we love each other. We spend time together on holidays, but, I never felt like they really knew me. So, but we, loving family, come together for all the major holidays and events. And now since my parents are passed away, those older couple of sisters are kind of like the matriarchs of our family now. So, I just respect them a lot. I mean, they're kind of like my elders in a sense, right?
Do you play a particular role in your family? Do you know?
I would wonder what they would say my role is. I guess from my standpoint, I just still want the attention. I'm 52 years old.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of things and I've accomplished a lot. But the people I always want to hear from are my sisters. If I'm making them proud, if they saw what I did, if they saw the article, if they saw the show, just always looking for their approval.
Yeah.
And those words of affirmation from them.
Yeah.
And I give them. I mean, they tell me they're proud. So, I'm not sure what role I play. I'm definitely different than all of them. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of like, I don't want to say a loose cannon. It's not a loose cannon, but I do go against the grain. Like my father was a pastor. We have very traditional values, but I'm super progressive and way more liberal than the rest of my family, way more tolerant of like all folk people. And defend the little guy, defend the marginalized. So I'm like that person that goes against the grain, goes against the popular opinion.
All right, so let's jump in and talk about cooking. So at what age did you realize cooking was your way of serving the world?
Well, I realized I loved cooking at 5 years old, but I didn't realize that was my way of serving the world until I was 40 years old.
Okay. And so what shifted or what happened at age 40 where you came to that realization?
Prior to that, I was doing the thing that was expected of me in a sense. I went to college, undergrad, at 18 years old, and studied to get a steady, great paying job, something that, would make your parents happy. It wasn't even any type of path of discovering what my passion was or what I truly wanted to do. It was kind of a march towards stability, money, which I think, a lot of people do, especially in that time. Parents, this is what they wanted you to do. Get something stable so you could be on your own, so you could take care of yourself. But after 16, 17 years in the corporate world and just the stress of it, and I'm always been one to question. Again, I'm always that one that goes against the grain. And it's like, why? Why do we do that? So why do we need to do that? Why is this important?
Yeah.
And I just realized that I don't have to do this. I know I have a great salary, great benefits, but I can do something different if I want, and I can change my life at any moment. So that's what I did. I thought about what would I want to do that I would do for free.
Wow.
And that's cooking. I didn't know how I would make money that way. I didn't know how I would support myself that way. I had no vision of what the business has become now. I had no idea it would be this. I just thought I could make enough money to live. And I would be happy. So that's what I did. Entered culinary school at 40, graduated at 42 with an associates in culinary, and actually started my business while I was in school. And the best decision I've ever made in my life was to take that leap of faith.
So share with us some of your fondest memories of food and family from childhood.
My favorite memories were Sunday dinners at my grandmother's house. It's just where my love of food and my just passion for how that type of environment can make a person feel. That's where that started. I was surrounded by not only my siblings, but all of my cousins, because my mom had 5 or 6, I think, brothers and sisters, and they all had 4 or 5 kids. So there was a lot of people at Sunday dinner at my grandmother's. And so it's just a connection and a feeling of abundance and being cared for and loved and just a ton of laughter. It was an easy day. It was just a great day to be alive on Sundays after church. We all, kind of went to different churches and stuff, so far as my aunts and uncles and family, but we came together about 2 p.m. at my grandmother's house every single Sunday. It was the best day of the week for me. As a business idea, I started having Sunday dinners for my clients, for my customers, where I invite my clients and customers into my home to dine with me on Sunday dinner. So I've recreated that. I do it once a month, and the menu's always different, and it's always country, old school, Southern, regular old food, not my normal fancy stuff.
So let's talk about relationships with food and so on. So have you noticed in your family if each member, your siblings, I guess, have a different relationship with food?
Yeah. Gosh, I think different with every single one of us. Only 2 of us are cooks. And we are both the heavier sisters of the 7. We're both like obsessed with food and cook all the time. And But my older sister's way more health conscious. They eat way more healthy, and I mean, I think we all have we all get a comfort from food because we all have those great memories from childhood.
Right. Absolutely.
But, they have probably, I would say, a little more healthy relationship with food because,
Yeah.
I mean, they're just able to keep it balanced.
Yeah.
But I live with food 24/7, always thinking about it, thinking about menus and recipes and all. So it's a great relationship, but it's one that I have to constantly manage, for health reasons.
Absolutely. Now, do you see a connection between food and mental health?
I do, actually. I do. I mean, for me, food has been both a detriment to my health when I'm eating poorly. I mean, there's a definite connection. And then there's times when I'll do very specific fasting or detox and give my body a break from digestion. And then there's a lot of mental clarity and there's a lot of energy, and which affects my mood. So, I mean, I definitely see a connection.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a connection. I just think that's probably a scientific fact.
Right.
But I definitely have seen both sides of it.
So before we switch gears and change the subject, this is probably a great opportunity to talk about your business, what it's like, what you do, what you offer. I know you train other chefs, so tell us a little bit more about what your business is like.
Sure. My primary business, I've been in business for 12 years, is Heart and Soul Personal Chef Service. It is, just as it sounds, a personal chef service. We cook privately for people in their homes, primarily dinner parties, multi-course dinner parties. And we are helping people celebrate life's moments, very simply. Birthdays, anniversaries, even candlelight dinner for two, proposals, engagement dinners, micro weddings. Mm-hmm. But it's always private in our client's home, 99% of the time. And we go in and we take all the work off of their plate. We do everything so they can just enjoy each other, enjoy their time, enjoy the memories, and enjoy the food. Okay. So that's our primary business, my primary business. And those are just what I see as fun opportunities to stretch myself, to call upon my travels, and do research even, because I've never been to Denmark.
Okay.
But I learned a lot about Danish cuisine. I studied it.
Yeah.
And to get ready for this particular dinner party, I mean, I created the cocktails and everything. And it was to celebrate a gentleman's 50-year anniversary as a U.S. citizen.
Oh, wow.
Denmark. And so we did this whole Danish meal. And this gentleman was brought to tears because the food reminded him so much of home. Oh. And I've never stepped foot in Denmark. So those are the things that I see as not only challenges for me creatively, but it's another opportunity for me to connect people to their fondest memories through food. That's honestly what I do. Yeah.
Wow, what a great story.
And now, later in my career, now that I have trained so many chefs and we have such a large team, I have started just doing more coaching, where I coach privately other chefs all over the country who want to transition into this type of business model, away from the restaurant business, or people who are just pivoting, from a corporate job, or they've never even been in the culinary field, but cooking is their passion.
Yeah.
And I teach them how to run a successful personal private chef business.
Fantastic. So let's talk a little about therapy. What are your thoughts about it? And if your family ever sought family therapy, do you think you'd all agree on what issues to work on?
I believe in therapy 1,000%. I think everyone should have a therapist. I mean, whether you're 100% happy or not, I think you should have a therapist. Turning the focus on my family, that's just something that my parents would have never sought out or encouraged necessarily. My mom just I mean, she suffered from what I suffer from. She passed it down to me, really. The perfectionism, she probably could have used therapy. But I think even now, as I have grown sisters, and there's a lot of like buried and hidden trauma.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a family session to just talk about those things.
Yeah.
And do I think that they would agree, or that we could all agree at this point? I wouldn't think so. Hard to say, but I think each of us have had some therapy individually at this point. But I still think the past stuff, they prefer to leave in the past. Whereas I'm desperate to talk about those things and dig them up and figure out how it's informed who I am now and why I do the things I do. Why am I scared of the things I'm scared of?
Yeah.
Et cetera. How has it impacted the relationships that I've had? So I'm all about digging that stuff up. But I'm not sure we could do that as a family. When I was coming up, even with traumatic events, there was no such thing as therapy for us. Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, even school counselors were there just for like, help us get ready for college.
Yeah.
I never even thought to go to a school counselor to talk about problems.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. You just push through.
You just push through.
Yeah.
You buried it. And we didn't live in a time either where women were believed about, sexual assault and things like that. I mean, I grew up in the 70s and women were definitely not believed. It's not like it is now.
Right.
So you just kind of just had to deal with it.
Yeah.
And the answer was, oh, okay, just avoid that person.
Yeah.
Like that was it.
It's unbelievable. But yeah, this is a common concern I hear coming up in therapy as well. Sexual abuse that is not discussed, reported, acknowledged. So it's a tough one.
And at this point, when people hear about these women who come out 35 years later and they're like, why are you coming out now? It's like they don't get it because they don't understand that we didn't have that voice and we couldn't come forward.
Right.
And then when you see this person who abused you being elevated into some position of power, it's like, well, dang, I kind of have to say something at this point. So I certainly see it from both sides.
Chef, I cannot thank you enough for touching on traumatic family experiences, especially sexual abuse and harassment. I will delve into these topics in a later episode. In closing, a question I have is, what suggestions do you have for listeners who love to cook, maybe want to be chefs but fear their demands of the job?
I created my own lane in this industry. I knew that I didn't want to be a restaurant chef. I didn't want to work in that type of fast-paced environment. I didn't want to work 60 hours a week. So I created my own lane. And there's so many opportunities in food that don't require, a crazy, hectic schedule. And so reach out to people who are doing the thing that you'd want to do. If it's a personal chef, a private chef, a food stylist, a food photographer, whatever it is, and seek to get mentorship from that person. How can people reach you if they had questions or just wanted to connect or maybe coaching? Yeah, I am Lisa at cheflisabrooks.com, and I'm at Chef Lisa Brooks on all social media platforms. Thank you so much, Chef. I really do appreciate you being here with me. I always look forward to talking to you. I wish I could do it for much longer because I know you have so much to share, but I definitely understand time restrictions. So hopefully we will reconnect again at some point, and I will definitely make it to Charlotte so I can experience some of your great cooking. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you. Stay well. I hope this episode added something meaningful to your life. If you have a family-related story, whether joyful or painful, that you would like to share, please send an email to info@joymeetspain.com.
thank you for tuning in and for allowing me to spend this part of your day with you. Please rate and review the podcast wherever you listen to the show. And of course, spread the word. Till next time, stay well and stay present.